Hello, everybody. This is me, Laura, with Esther. And in this presentation, we are going to talk about the push for education researchers to disseminate research findings to practitioners.
Laura, tell me, what are your concerns about research dissemination?
What I have been struggling a lot is that what I see as a problem as a researcher that is sort of like applying big data and like PISA results and stuff like that, and seeing the wider picture of where the education is actually taking us, then I can maybe see issues and problems that are not that important in the everyday teaching for teachers. So sometimes I feel personally in my work that I'm trying to, make sell a problem that the teachers don't acknowledge, and sometimes it's a hard sell because we don't want to be like no teacher wants more problems. So so my concern is like when you are not giving answers to problems that the teachers already see existing, then how do you actually disseminate your findings, and how do you activate and motivate teachers to see those problems as well, without maybe like adding to their already full a package of problems and issues that they need to deal with in their everyday lives.
The way I see research dissemination is that, in the late 90s and early 2000s, there was a lot of talk about evidence-based teaching, and it's used as a term for quite a few people as a way to deprofessionalize teachers, almost to tell them that they're not using research in their teaching, and so they should listen to researchers, which I think it's not very helpful because it undermines teachers' agency and also their professional judgment. So what you're talking about in terms of how do we create a partnership to work with teachers so that the researchers are working on things that are of concern to teachers, and teachers find what the researchers are doing are also useful for them. It's a great question. I do think there should be a variety of research out there. Sometimes might not be directly related to teaching sometimes, because sometimes we don't know how some of our research, the application could be, but it's good to have that, that segment of research where you do develop a partnership with teacher, not just asking them, what are the issues, but working with them to find out questions that are important to them. We do need a variety of research that actually looks not just at the kind of global picture, but also the local picture, and allowing teachers to feel empowered in seeking questions or seeking research that they think is relevant to them.
Did you, Esther, have some, personal concerns about this issue as well, like about disseminating research findings in general or in your own research?
We do work a lot with teachers in partnership, and we often treat we consider our research, we consider the teacher participants as kind of a partner in our investigation often, and when we're doing research, we often will actually go back into the school to tell them, what are some of the things that we have found, and not treating teachers as guinea pigs that we're kind of looking at from afar, but treating it as more like a partnership where we're informing each other's practice in our research. So I do find it's a nice model to have in terms of not distancing ourselves too far from the actual study site.
It's also about sort of like the different channels. What kind of research do we do? Like, do we address like those big questions or like more fine-grained questions? But also like whether we should discuss our findings with the teachers, like as such, or maybe like policymakers. Like maybe there's maybe like when you're addressing those big picture gaps or issues or concerns, maybe you shouldn't maybe pay too much or put all your effort in making teachers aware of those problems, because as long as they are not acknowledged in like wider levels, or maybe like by authorities, that might be a little bit like I don't know, like how do you feel that? Because sometimes you can make like almost like a revolution from bottom up, like seeing, like making teachers aware, like okay, like we don't want to face these problems, like let's change the whole, practice. But that's like maybe in education, and especially mathematics education, that hasn't really been happening a lot. Like sometimes there's been almost like revolutions, like let's say when flipped classrooms may like almost like a breakthrough, and like some like things like that. So then that might affect the like the wider practices and the recommendations of the authorities as well. But like many times it goes the other way around, that we have to wait for like a curriculum reform or something else. And sometimes it also might be that as a researcher you might need to just accept that even though you might see value in your findings and your whatever gap that or issue that you are recognizing and giving a solution even maybe, so maybe you just have to accept that this is not going to be needed at the moment, because like there just was a curriculum reform or something else is of concern at the moment. So maybe that will come into use in 10 years or something. And you actually had an example of online teaching.
Yes, because I'm a guest editor for the ESM special issue on the pandemic crisis, with David Wagner and also Christina Sabina. And what we found was interesting in some of these submissions is that there are papers in it where there are people who have been researching, things about online learning for many years, and but there was only, a small reach in the research at the time, 10 or 20 years ago. But then now, because of the pandemic, suddenly everyone is interested. Everyone wants to find out more about, how do you do online learning? How do you teach maths online?
It feels so current at the moment.
Yeah, exactly. But at the time when the research came out, not a lot of people thought that, this is something that we should worry about, myself included, because I've only been using, doing teleconference and those sort of things, but never use it to teach. But now when everyone is forced to do that, we all have to find the available research and also, tools to help us to solve the immediate problem. So in that sense, I thought it was good that we have always, encourage a variety of research in our field, where people could be, researching all different things that may or may not have an immediate need. And then, when there is need arise, then people can go back and look for that, which also I think it's important in the sense, in terms of research dissemination, is that we do make our research public and make it accessible to other people, so that when people do find a need, they can look for it. If we're doing things and keep it to ourselves, thinking that no one else will ever be interested in it, then no one will ever find out about it.
Yeah, and maybe we have to do both. Like, even though we might see that this is not like the hot topic at the moment, we still might need to do some sort of promotion. And that's the good thing in academia, that you are welcome to publish findings of any topic, as long as you can sort of like establish that there is a gap. But maybe just leaving it there might not be enough. You still might want to do some sort of like have an effect or impact on how people see things, and do your own share of that. You did have a really nice example of the sort of the usefulness of things.
It's Professor David Clarke's story or quote of scientists ages ago. I think it was Bohr, but I could be wrong, where he made this discovery and then he gave a scientific presentation to the science community, and then one of the people in the audience was asking him, what is this useful for? And Bohr was giving the response saying that what is a newborn useful for? Because we never know, how things will develop in the future. Often as scientists, what we do is to, tackle a problem that no one has tackled before. And then sometimes it takes time for the society to actually realize its usefulness or potential.
Yeah, so just like a newborn baby, we just have to wait and see and maybe cultivate that newborn baby. Thank you for this essay. This was really really nice talking with you about these issues, and let's keep talking.
Yep, that sounds good. I hope everyone enjoys the rest of the workshop.